Oh my goodness, you're right. My mic was off. All right, hello guys and welcome. We're going to start up the live stream here. So today I'm going to be doing a playthrough of Mechanized Germany, and the idea behind this playthrough was submitted to me by one of my viewers about 2 months ago, so I'm feeling pretty bad that it's taken so long for me to get on the horse and to finally do this playthrough. But his idea is Mechanized Germany, and he's really wanting to see this. So basically, the question is, how do we set up our template? And what does our army look like when we have Mechanized Germany? Obviously, you have a lot of panzer divisions and tanks. Um, but what is our main battle force going to consist of? So Tomas's idea, and I'm just going to call him Tom from here on out, is that basically you could develop a mechanized force that could handle enemy tanks and just wreck enemy infantry without taking any damage itself. So mech forces on infantry, basically you're not going to take any damage, but you're going to be able to handle the opposing tanks. So basically, that's going to come when we're in Russia, right? Because we can dodge the tanks here in Belgium, so it shouldn't be such a hard task when we go up against France. Um, Xenomorph says, so is this going to be just a tank Germany? No. We will be developing tanks, but we're going to stick to light tanks and light tank variants. And what I'd like to do is simply have our 3 tank divisions and turn those into mechanized, maybe even making a 4th. So let's just set up the game here. Sorry if I'm a little rusty, guys. Um, there is no mechanized artillery. That would be a good upgrade for Hearts of Iron 4 if you had a half track that you could put a big gun on or something like that, because they did do that in the war. They did put like 88s on trucks and things like that. Um, I don't know if it's the new meta for multiplayer. I think that's probably the idea that he's putting forth, but typically, like, we're gonna have to wait to get the first half track. The breakthrough is 4, max speed of 8, piercing is 11. So that's interesting that it has piercing. It gives 100% hardness, production cost of 8, as opposed to a tank production cost of 9. So you're saving there, but the offset is the speed. So the speed is down 3 kilometers, but probably no big deal. And then I'd also be interested in the differences in the mobility. Is there a difference, or are we talking tracked movement to tracked movement? So if anyone could help me out in the comments. I've never built mech forces unless I was doing a historical build where I was doing a set piece battle, like my videos with the Battle of France, or pretty much the Battle of France is the only time I've ever used mechanized forces. But that's what we're going to go for. The question is, should I start making variants of like the Westby, of the Panzer II? I could just use Panzer IIs in a Recon fashion. I think that's what I'll be doing. So we'll keep the... We won't be building the Westby. Let's just go with the basic infantry equipment because it's cheap. I think what we'll do here is just produce one tank, and we'll go for these recon units here. So what's the difference between armored recon and the one that we have? Reconnaissance is actually a little worse with armored recon. Breakthrough is better. And it looks like there's a total of 24 tanks if we used armored recon companies. So we could really conserve. So we could do like 3 divisions of mechanized forces. So I change all this to mech, make this armored recon, which would give us more pop for breakthrough, give us more hardness, and maybe even keep some of the trucks. And then we'll look at the division template a little later. I'm using my shift left click, as everyone's been telling me to do. So thanks for helping me out with that, guys. Probably going to need a lot of iron. So this is going to have to be... We're going to have to go for the iron first, for sure. And Reich's Autobahn should not upgrade these 3 areas, and those 3 areas will give us the most iron. So that's what we're doing there. Put them at the top. So since those 3 areas will be maxed out infrastructure, we'll be sure to max out their factories. Actually, that should go first, since they're maxed out. Perfect. Okay, and that should be good. Now, in terms of military production, rifles are always the most important thing that you can get. Yeah, that's true. It seems to me like... So, I'm sorry, Stig O'Hara says mechanized recon should be a thing, and like if you watch movies like Saving Private Ryan, it kind of felt like the half track in that movie was a mechanized force to me, because it really wasn't. It was a mechanized recon because it really wasn't backed up by any infantry. It was just a lone half track kind of scouting around, and I don't have any, primary source data to back up anything, but it seems to me that it would be a thing in World War II for sure. The towed anti-air, should we go that or not? And we get this interwar armored car as well. And guys, please chime in the comments, like if you have any comments, or help me out basically. This is now my 4th live stream. I've done 3 Magic the Gathering live streams, which I know you HOI4 guys don't appreciate, but this is my first HOI4 live stream, and I haven't been playing a lot of HOI4 since Panzer Corps 2 came out. So the armored car has breakthrough. Is there a way to see it over here? Let's put the armored car head to head. Okay, right here. Piercing of 6, so it actually comes with piercing. We can build armored car turn 1. It costs 2 iron, a production cost of 4. What's your hardness though? Hardness 65%. It's harder than the first half track that you get. But it doesn't seem to be real viable because there's no defense. It has tons of breakthrough. Let's do 1 tank. This is what we'll do. We'll do 1 tank division, and we'll give everyone armored cars for their recon. this breakthrough is awesome. So we'll keep the tank division template the same, and then we'll morph into a mechanized template with armored cars. Perfect. This is going to be real interesting. We'll do the whole Rhineland with the Angelos exploit. The question is, so if Guderian is going to be our Panzer General, because he has the Trickster, he's the only one that can upgrade to Combined Arms Expert, which will give us that extra mechanized defense. But he still gets the chance of executing blitz and encirclement tactics. And if you watch my video on blitz tactics, the hardness of your divisions or the forces that are attacking has to be greater than 50% in order to execute. I think it was breakthrough. Was it blitz or breakthrough? It was one of those two, but it was quite surprising to me that that was the case. Okay, so he's going to be with von Klug. We'll split out two different field marshals here since this is a 1940 start time. Oh, wow. Von Rundstedt now has an urban assault specialist. That's actually really good. Yeah, this even makes more sense to split up your divisions this way. And I always like to do Kurt Student over here for the low supply. And he has a good attack rating. We're not going to be doing paratroopers. And I love going Erwin Rommel here. Just to get into Danzig there. Sometimes it can be a tough nut to crack. There are forts in the middle here. And then I think von Witzelben is better, is a good general, basically. Like to send him down here. Okay, we'll go ahead and group our Air Force here. It would be nice if you could just click on these and then pour one into the other like you can the Navy now. That would be pretty cool. And then my naval setup is going to be two different fleets. One with Eric Rader. Okay. So it'll be three fleets. You have Donitz, Raider, and then it's Boehm. So we have a seagoing fleet and one that is more like going to be staying inside the Baltic here. We'll get more modern destroyers on the seagoing fleet. And for this longer playthrough, it looks like the button now is cancel the MIFO bills. And I don't think that you have to keep clicking the button to renew the MIFO bills, so it works differently now. So we'll just continue the MIFO bills, because when we go down our focus tree here, basically Austria and what is it, Fate of Czechoslovakia pays for the MIFO bills. Uses Czech gold to reduce the cost of the MIFO. And this uses Austrian gold to reduce the cost of MIFO. Okay, set up our production. Everything's basically going to be going into Ostifloat. The Deutschland class, I think that's a Panzerschiff, but it's a pretty formidable class, I think. And then the older cruiser can go into Hosh. These older types can also go into Hosh. Okay, it doesn't look like we are producing any modern submarines, so let's do that. And my thinking behind the navies is purely speed. I want the navies to stay with each other and attack as one. So basically, that's why I group them based on speed, and I could even get more in depth on that, but I'm not going to. We're just going to leave the navies as they are now. I used to micro it a lot more, but I don't think it's going to be as important with this build. The tactical bomber is basically, we're going to use that for our ranged air superiority weapon, if you will. We're not going to go fighters, because heavy fighters, I believe the air superiority rating is like something like 1.25, but these tactical bombers that I can play turn 1, the air superiority rating is 1. So you don't get a lot of bang for your buck, for me at least, for for heavy bombers, unless you're over here in Barbarossa. But even then, we can still just use the tactical bombers to get some air superiority. And they have a lot of HP too, and they hold up really well throughout the war. So we'll just stay with that. Tom, there you are, man. This is all for you, dude. I'm sorry it took so long. I was hoping you'd show up, man. It took me 2 months since you emailed me. I've been looking at your spreadsheet, and we've been talking about what's the best way to go about this build. So if you have an idea for a template, just go ahead and give it to me. We're going to build up to war, 1939. I might get a little antsy and go a little quicker than that. You're going to have to rein me in. And as you can see here, here's our production. I need to get, going on the mechanized force. There's no way in our focus tree, Tom, to get mechanized to get half tracks faster, right? I don't think that there is. Yeah, these are medium tank and armor technology. And we're basically just going to be going through your idea here, Tom. We're going to be focusing on the half tracks to do the heavy work. And the interesting thing to me is, so we're going to use Guderian for this mechanized general, and we're probably going to go down to 1 Panzer division. And when we upgrade Guderian, we can do combined arms expert, which is actually a more defensive thing, but that's okay. And if I remember correctly, it's either blitz or breakthrough. Sorry, it was shock tactics. I believe with shock, you needed to have your division hardness over 50% in order to execute shock tactics, which comes into play if we do aggressive assaulter. Assault and shock tactics. It was either that or blitz tactics. I forget. Maybe someone could look that up. Well, we'll do the mechanized. Tom says, yeah, I don't think so. They're more of something you would be using later in later 40 and onwards, but you usually win the war by then. Laugh out loud. Oh, the mechanized portion? Oh, to get the upgrade faster. It's okay. We're going to try to rush it as fast as we can. So, let's look at the research real quick. I mean, 1,000 days, it's going to... We'll get it. It's just going to take a little time. And we'll make everything... We'll make as an efficient build as I could possibly do. So everything's set up. I think we're ready to go. Let me click through everything here. We're not going to be canceling the MIFO bills. We're going to be going all MIFO all the time. That's what we're constructing. If I'm missing anything, guys, just chime in. Okay, that's all set up properly. And then I need to start the Angelos exploit right away, turn 1. I'm glad I didn't forget that. We're going to do feedback gaming strategy of putting them spawning your divisions as far away from the front as possible so that they will strategically redeploy and therefore not lose attrition. Every little bit of equipment counts. And in my opinion, equipment is the #1 thing besides political power. Political power first, then equipment second. You need to be doing whatever you can to get as much equipment into your stockpile as possible, especially since the Russian winter is long and cold, my friends. Okay. So let's do this. There is an optimal way of building guns to fill these units up more quicker, if you will. I did work it out at one time and then forgot it. And it was funny because if I go more guns, the delivery of weapons into the division would be quicker. What you want to do is you want to get the least amount of guns into these divisions as possible. If that makes sense, so that we can spawn as many divisions as possible. You just want to get enough guns in here to train. So if we were to give them an extra like 20 guns per division, we would be able to spawn less divisions by the time we get to Angelos. If I'm not making sense, please tell me, and I'll try to explain that in greater detail. But it's actually worse if you go a lot more guns, and I found that out. Tom says you will definitely get the blitz tactic with mech since they have so much hardness. Yeah, I was very surprised with that. And the other thing I said before, I think you were here, we found out that sorry, I think I might have actually forgotten to build this. So the interwar armored car has less hardness, but it has 65% hardness. But look at that, breakthrough is 12, which is a lot more breakthrough than the mechanized, than the half track. So I'm thinking we pair an armored recon with the mechanized division template, and that'll give us more breakthrough. So we'll go into more about that later. Let's just get this Ankylos exploit off. We're not going to steamroll as well because of the La Resistance update. So we're not going to get... I think there's going to be resistance in Austria. I'm not sure. There's our first division. It actually does matter by weeks if you don't do this exactly how I'm doing it. They actually changed the timer because, I don't know, they either saw me doing this or someone else, but they changed it so that it kind of revs up and down, I feel like, so that you can't get it exactly at midnight. So you can't spawn these divisions exactly at midnight. It used to be a lot easier to do this. I'm also getting a little lag. Okay, so Tom, it was the blitz tactic that basically you needed greater than 50% hardness to be able to have use of that tactic, which is so important. It was something that I never paid attention to until I did that video on combat tactics. But basically, you're sitting there and you're learning things that were always important, but that you never, like I never realized. So a lot of the times I would do things based on success. So I pattern my play styles so that basically, so these guys are all going to go into the biggest division template that we have, and then we could just start filling them into the armies. But basically, the way I play strategy games is I'll do patterns, and I'll see if they work or not. And then I'll alter the pattern with a one-off. And I'll say, okay, let's see here. So we can either wait for Ankylos or go Army Innovations. Let's see if full Ankylos works. So we will lose a few days of our focus tree, but we'll get Austria a month or two earlier, which does make a huge difference. Free trade first. Uh-oh. Produce as many guns as we can. So we're going to hold up on Ankylos. So anyway, yeah, I'll go through and do a one-off. If I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong or right, I'll change one thing, then I'll play through again. Then I'll play through again. Then I'll play through again, if that makes any sense. Why are these guys holding back? Oh, they weren't in their battle plan. That's okay. Okay, so how close are we to this? So they didn't change up Ankylos, did they? Yeah, they did. I think it was 450. Now it's only 500. Or was it 550 before? I forget. I thought the Ankylos, to get Ankylos, you needed 550,000 manpower in the field. We have 345. I mean, we have no hope of getting there in 10 days. So actually, we should do Army Innovations. just while we're building up our forces here. Usually I would get a good Angelos early April. That was like my fastest time. Yeah, I think it was 450. So yeah, they definitely altered the Angelos so that you couldn't exploit it as much. And it was a good way of steamrolling. It should still be beneficial. But we have a full 70 days, and actually we can just change if we want to. So let's get these guys into the big division as quickly as possible. In testing, it was even important to max out the units to a certain extent. When you're at this point, you can stop adding units. That guy should have trained by now. What the heck's going on? Still don't meet criteria. Oh, and we can actually put that in to make those motorized divisions even bigger. Almost there. So we'll see how far we're into what is the Army Innovations, but to see if it's worth it. But it doesn't look like it's going to be worth it. I'll get to your guys' comments in a second. So we're still not there. Okay, now we should be there. All right. The later you do Angelos, the more industry and mills you get. Yes, but the earlier I get Angelos, the more industry and mills I have earlier, so then I'll be producing more things with the factories that I have. So potentially that means a lot more equipment. And remember, it's political power first, in my opinion, then equipment second. So I'm really wanting those mills. Is this your first run with this build, or did you do a test run? No test run. Dude, this is the first La Resistance Germany. I've been spreading out too much, guys. I've been playing too many different games. Everyone's asking for this, that, and the other thing, so it's my own fault. I apologize. And I have a lot of people like Tom that I want to do videos for because they've been such great supporters of the channel. So thank you very much. Okay, so if I were to change right now, it's April 24th. We would lose out on 34 days. I don't think that's worth it. So we'll just go through. Yeah, there's no way that that's worth it. But I can get to do my land doctrines quicker and get to that blitz tactic you were talking about, Tom. If there's anything that I'm doing wrong, if you guys have any suggestions, comments, just throw them in the chat and I'll try to get to your comments. So actually, these, since we're not going for Poland, so we should be able to do Angelos now. Since we're not going for Poland, we can actually train regular divisions because we're not going to try to rush Poland. So we'll just make as many infantry divisions as we can. And I don't so we will suffer from the MIFO, one round of MIFO bills by the time we get Angelos. So that is another downside. Stig O'Hara is the fact that I'm only suffering one round of MIFO bills instead of that stacking up before we get the Austrian gold, quote unquote. So that is another downside of rushing Angelos. But you're right, it is more efficient for the Austrians to make their own factories as well. I'd have to test that out to see what would be best. Okay, we're going to go for Martin Bormann because we lose Rudolf Hess. And then we can start making a new division template here. We're going to go concentrated industry. Start upgrading people. So, what do you guys think? Organization first or charismatic? I'm still thinking organization first, which gives you that reinforcement rate of 2%, which is actually the decision if your general throws in the reinforcements and swaps out one of the frontline troops. So you have a 2% chance of that happening. So when you look in your bubble, when we go to Poland, we'll look at the bubble, and the reinforcement rate is the chance that one of the divisions held in reserve are thrown into battle, which is better than the divisions that you're attacking with just losing organization and then being reinforced at that point. You can keep an attack up a lot quicker that way. Okay, who else needs upgrades? So we're going to go Combined Arms Expert, and Panzer Expert gives Armor Division Defense of 10%. Wasn't that attack before? It was more powerful than this. I think it was attack and defense. I'm not sure. It was definitely more powerful than that. Okay, so he's going to get an organization first as well. I don't know, this isn't great. And typically, Rommel doesn't upgrade for me unless I make him a field marshal. Scavenger never really nets me a lot unless he's the general that I'm using my overrun forces on, so my panzer forces. So I'll go Fortress Buster with him, and he'll get that activated ability. What's nice about von Witzelben is he has good supply and attack, but he also has that trait infantry officer, so you get an upgrade on him real quick. So I really like him. And if you guys have to go or anything, I'm going to post this up tomorrow. Try to get it up tomorrow morning, my time. So after Angelos, I think I've gotten the most comments about the way I pronounce Angelos. Is Angelus, I think, is the correct way. And I always say I'm going to try to do it better. Angelus. Okay, so we can reassert Eastern claims. And then we do get Mamel, which will spike world tension, which could give us, if we can go to war economy, it looks like we can do that anyway. So I don't think there's any reason to go to Mamel. But there is a reason to go to... We could get the factories in the Sudetenland and go to the fate of Czechoslovakia. Or we could start 4-year plan. Get Heimar Schecht. But I think we lose him if we take the Sudetenland. I'm thinking that going to get the all of Czechoslovakia would be a lot quicker. But we can't do this yet, so we need... Oh, we need 750,000 manpower. I'm slipping, boys. Jeez. Okay. We can try to do that. Let's get these guys out. Actually, maybe we can change these guys. Go back to continue to exploit. Okay, let's up the amount of armored cars. See how our construction's doing. It's doing okay. Oh yeah, we got all these guys. So we could change these guys into mechanized forces, but they do have a trained experience. So they actually, there is a premium to these guys that come out of Austria because they are trained. So I don't change their division templates one bit. We need 750. Yeah, the armored cars are good for suppression, Tom. I want them in that offensive role. This is your brainchild, Tom, so just tell me if you need me to do anything differently. We could put the squeeze on... I like putting the squeeze on Yugoslavia because we get the war goal for free. They just attack us, so that's always good. I think war economy is going to be best. Okay. So we could wait. God, we're 100,000 away. Let's just go to 4-year plan and then bounce back. So that I would have rather have gone for Sudetenland first, but that's okay. We are on expert AI, Tom. or Connor. So I always play. I mean, I did play a regular Germany recently, but basically we're on Elite Iron Man mode with historical AI all the time. And I've got like 3 or 4 pretty complete Germany builds out there, Germany playthroughs rather. The build has changed slightly when all the DLCs have come out, but mainly has stayed the same. Okay, he's maxed out. These guys could go to Rommel. I like having 13 divisions in Rommel, the Ghost Division. Rommel was not involved in Poland, if you guys want to know. Rommel was right here on the border of, he was in Belgium, but the southern border of Belgium, and he had 1 armored division. And if you listen to any of my buddy Lieutenant Joker's videos, he was so hell-bent on attack that he took over units of other divisions in order to reach his objectives. So you can speculate if that was good or bad on your own. Okay, so we just reached the goal. Okay, now is there another goal I'm not reaching here? So that's 750. That's 750. And then Danziger War is 950. But that's not going to be till 1939. So we'll do historic. We'll go like October 1939. Put them in Kurt students. And then we can start building just regulars. We'll start off with like 48 divisions. That'll work. So I'll show you guys real quick how I do my templates, but basically I also like going the Anschluss exploit because you get their division template from Austria, which doesn't sound that powerful, but it is. And you get those units that are trained, and that's very powerful because it didn't take you anything to get them pretty much. One thing I want to check real quick, do we have resistance in Austria? We don't. It is fully a part of Germany. That is 10 out of 10. Let me just double check here. Yeah, we're good to go. So you get it. You are able to steamroll through Austria. So I am still going to do the exploit 100%. But to make these division templates, so I will duplicate. And then we can literally make these one-off divisions very cheap. And I know it's not 20. Don't worry about that. It's okay. We need to conserve the army experience right now. We got the army experience from the Anschluss exploit in Rhineland. And the first round of army innovations. That's where we got all of our experience from. So we're going to make another one-off division. It'll be AT. And these guys are going to be supplied with AA guns to start off, and then we'll have to change that later. And let's build. Obviously, like I said, Tom, I didn't play through this, so I'm just guessing at the division strengths that we're churning out here. Ripkin, you showed up, dude. Thanks, man. I've been checking out your channel. Raphael, how you distribute your Navy. I said prior that I distribute them based on speed, and I like the navies to attack all at once. I don't like stragglers, as you can see when they're attacking. So I took all I did for this build was I took the old destroyers and put them into a Baltic fleet. So we have a Baltic slow fleet, and we have an ocean-going fleet with Admiral Raider, and then we have our third fleet is subfleet with Donitz, per usual. So let's keep going here. So we're going all industry all the time. I don't think that there's anything is worth it right now there. We could get mechanical computing. The 4% is pretty good with this longer build. I would only go that if there's nothing else to really get. Can we go? That 927 is way too expensive. We should go AT, and then I think I forgot to start building my AA guns. That was a big mistake. If you do 2 AA guns at the beginning of the game, in most cases, you're done. You shouldn't need anything else. And just to recap, we're going to go TAC bomber because air superiority with all three of these types of planes is 1. So there's no difference. The difference is the range, and basically how the air provinces work in Hearts of Iron 4 is the amount of pixels that the range of the airplane covers actually is thrown into an equation of air superiority. So if I have more range, I can get air superiority better. If I'm defending and I'm in my own territory, like in an air base in the middle here with just a fighter 1, I'm going to be able to get air superiority really easily. If I move into the Ukraine, my fighter 1s at best can go right here. And then that equation will net you way less air superiority. But if I use TAC bombers and concentrate my air, we'll be able to get air superiority over Ukraine, which is the major breakthrough that I make in Barbarossa. I usually go to the south and then don't involve Romania. Ripken's been using the hack the box, learning ethical hacking. Yeah, thanks, Ripken. Okay, what else are we doing here? Okay, that's looking good. We just need to churn out those military factories to start catching up on our AA production, and then we will go anti-tanks because we're going to be going up against the big tanks in Russia. Okay, so now we should be able to demand Sudan. We can get Haimar Shacht, but then we lose him almost right away. Oh, okay, I really can't get anyone yet. I think the next guy to get is Heinz. Or the War Industrialist. I actually think it's the War Industrialist. Let's upgrade these guys if I can. There's no upgrades anymore? What? We'll make our super subs here. Maybe Raider never had upgrades. I think he always had upgrades. He had these same upgrades. Huh. We'll fail if we have more political power than 0. Can delay MIFO bill payments. Current ruling party is not democratic. So that does that mean the MIFO bills are about to go off? That would be odd. Okay. Yeah, let's go Walter Funk. All military factories all the time. We're going to let these guys train all the way. This might have been a little too optimistic. And I need these AT guns really bad. Let's take these guys out. What I've learned about it's good to have engineer companies, but I penny packet the engineer companies, the artillery companies that I made down here, and I penny packet out the anti-tank role infantry divisions, and that always works out better than to combine all those support equipment into one division. Because you can spread out the effect of all the different effects that you're getting. You're getting soft attack with one, you're getting defense and entrenchment with the other, you're getting the piercing with the other. It's better to penny packet them out when you hit Barbarossa. Gosh, we're going to need at least like 16 of these guys. Okay, so we're still in 1936 here. Okay, the MIFO bills didn't cancel. These little boxes always mess me up. I mean, they always say something and I think it's something else. So that's why you just have to test them out. All right, concentrated industry. We're not going to be switching up our different production lines that often. That's why we're going concentrated industry. Alpine Jaeger is pretty good here. They're going to be our special forces. We're not going to go paratroopers. I could go oil processing. Oil's going to be a big factor here. Still can't get that half track. Let's get the bonus to... I think it should be oil processing. I want to go excavation because of the iron, but we can always just build infrastructure if I need more iron. Because I think you get like 30 or 40 more iron, which is pretty much equivalent to like 5 civilian factories if you go excavation 1. Then after that, excavation 1 is only handy for getting these decisions where you can farm resources for political power. So we'll get Guderian next. And we'll take all of Czechoslovakia. Okay, there's our AT gun. It should be the only AT that we need. God, now excavation costs so much. I think we get the bonus to excavation when we go autarky, and I think we're going to be doing that. So we go Blitzkrieg Theorist, start grinding out Army XP. What's our MIFO bill? Negative here is negative 0.35. That's not even that bad yet. To political power. Keep going armored cars. I just kind of want like a trickle of tanks, but I want to make sure I get the air. Air superiority is key in all situations. Okay, that should be okay. Does it? Oh. Okay, so Stig O'Hara says treaty with the USSR gives 100x research bonus for mech. Are you sure? I got medium tank models. Oh, Army Innovations too. Okay, okay. Sonderkraft. I don't even. Is that what it is? The last thing here? Are you sure? Because I'll go for that. We're going for that. Oh, you're right. It is. It is. I call it the Skoda SDKFZ11. You're right. You're right. Okay, so that's what we're going to go for next. And what it was like 100% bonus. So it's going to take us a while to get here. Yeah, 100% research bonus. Okay, so we can get that right away. Thank you, Stig. That was really helpful, man. I appreciate that. Raphael, are we going battlefield support or operational integrity? You know, it's slipping my mind here. I'm not even thinking about that. Thank you for saying that. Are you talking about this side? We're definitely going to have to go mobile infantry, right? Because that gives you the mech bonuses. So then we don't get Blitzkrieg, which enables the tactic of breakthrough. But mechanized offensive gets enables the tactic of blitz. Why am I blanking on battlefield support or operational integrity? Is that down below? Air doctrine. Oh, okay. Oh yeah, we're gonna go battlefield support because we already have one into formation flying, and we get that fighter detection and the XP gain, which actually is helpful. And then we're gonna be using dive bombers, so I think we'll go battlefield support. Sorry about that. There's a little delay on the video, and I was just like, I knew it was like some sort of doctrine. I was just like, I almost never research those though, and I get air superiority just fine. So that's why I don't put points into that until later. We could also make a bunch of cavalry and use Witzelbin to follow my mech spearhead. So but that did, thank you for saying that, Raphael, because that did remind me that I do need to get doctrines. I cannot get behind on my doctrines. That's too expensive. Okay, we need iron for sure, so that's what we're gonna go for. Okay, that's gonna be too expensive as well. So let's just go mechanical computing. And it was nice because waiting to get Guderian before you go your doctrines, though, gives you the land doctrine research speed plus 10%. So you get that little bonus too if you wait, but we have plenty of time. It's only 1937. What do we got here? Raf says, I was trying OI for better fighters and air superiority. Keep squeezing them. All of Czechoslovakia belongs to the Reich. There we go. That's what I like to do. And then we need to go straight to here so we can get our mechs and make the build work. Yeah, let's take a look at that real quick for you, Raphael. Okay, so if we go operational integrity, what I think of is like, where are we going to be by the time we start the war? So there's turn 1 of this game in 1936, but then there's turn 1 of whenever in your mind you want to start World War II. So basically with the build that I'm doing, the most optimistically, I'm gonna be down here if I stay in battlefield support. If not, I would just get here and here. So I would get interception detection, which is good on the defensive. So it's not going to help our air superiority. And then interception mission. I think that OI, just for these top two, is defensive. So, but if you can get dive bombing, air support mission efficiency increased by 20%, the bombers are going to be able to do a lot more damage, and I think that that's better on the offense. So for this build, I would just stay with what we start with here, and it's more efficient anyways. Okay, so this is interesting. So we're actually garrisoning Czechoslovakia here. And I think the Schnell division is, yeah, just horses there. Oops. Okay, so I am going to give a whole army to von Witzelben of just horse. Let's see what we're behind on. Anti-air is not too bad, and I probably put too many points into that. This should be fine. When we have enough points, I'll make a support anti-tank division. We have 182 armored cars. So how many armored cars in a support recon situation? 24. So we're easily going to be able to supply 3 mechanized divisions with enough armored cars, at least for Poland and the Battle of France. So no problem there. Our problem is Army XP. How are we going to form these divisions? It's probably going to be after Poland, I would assume. I'm doing a lot of artillery, so let's make sure we get that up and that up in that order. And then we're going to need more guns. I'm using the shift left click technique that you have all been asking me to do. So thank you. Actually, I don't want to put anything in occupied territory, because that will be subject to this. Let's do martial law in Czechoslovakia and see if that doesn't help anything. Actually, we have enough armored cars to where we could do... Let's see, if we put in the Schnell division armored cars... It drops organization, but who cares? The suppression is the same. Oh, armored car. I'm sorry, light armored recon. Suppression is the same. So we would have to literally put in the Schnell division something like this, and then suppression goes up, and the Schnell divisions, which I have, I think I have one of them, get 60 armored cars. Ooh, that's a lot. Okay, so you can't just use support recon. You have to put them in as a regiment. That's good to know. I don't really like to go Von Bach because he's a harsh leader. Division recovery rate negative 10%. I think that is pretty harsh. I do like Ritter von Lieb for his attack and his excellent infantry officer. However, he's not going to upgrade too quickly. So Blaskowitz is a good... We could do Schultz. Blaskowitz has a lot of planning. Let's go Blaskowitz. He's going to be here in Czechoslovakia. He'll attack from there. And I also, so I need another Schnell army. I need, I'm sorry, a cavalry army. And then I need an army on the border here to attack Yugoslavia. Okay, so we're going to get another round of MIFO debuffs. See how many Alpine Jaegers we can put out. Okay, Army Innovations 2. Let's change this to what it really is, which is AA. Let's make a lot less of these guys. Something like that should be fine. Yeah, in the next DLC, they need to make this a little easier, like they did the Navy. I really like the upgrades that they did to making the Navy a lot easier to control. I don't really play a lot of naval countries. I guess I play a lot of Italy, so that's not entirely true. Okay, so what do we go next? I think we go Himmler in this La Resistance world that we now live in. The question is, do we go now? We could probably wait. We have pretty decent manpower. However, we could get that extra electronics boost, which would make this a lot faster. I guess we don't need Prince of Terror yet, and we don't need our military to be upgraded too much yet. We could get Rudolf Hess. We know he's going to be thrown away later for 15% political power gain. So if our power change is 1.32 per day, 15% of 1 is 1.5. Okay, so we're going to get like 0.2 a day, and we're going to start war in 2 years. 360. Sorry, guys. Yes, I do go this deep into the rabbit hole. 360 times 2 times 0.2. We're going to get 144 political power by the time he does his famous flight. So he's just going to basically pay for himself if we take him at this point. So there's no point in taking Rudolf Hess. Hey, Credfield, how's it going? Weren't you the one who asked for more HOI4, I think? Okay, I'm just seeing what else is available, and I think that the bonus to research would be best. And that gave us about 10 days on our mechanical computing research, and it'll be easier to get all of this radio detection, like there is a point in getting radar now, late game, because it's so good for air superiority. Hey, Raven, how's it going, man? God, it must be 4 a.m. out there? Aren't you guys 8 hours ahead? What time is it here? It's 9:50. Oh, 6 a.m. So you just got up, huh? Or no, 4 a.m.? I don't know how far ahead you guys are. Maybe you're in Eastern Germany. There's a different time zone. I don't know. The 2 political power guy. So Mateo Munro says, hey, ESG, why don't you take the 2 PP guy first? So are you talking about... So I just figured out Rudolf Hess would basically pay for himself before he would do his famous flight. So there was no benefit there. Are you talking about Ribbentrop? It's only 5%. I don't think that would be very impactful, if that's who you meant. Oh, cool, Credfield. Well, because of you, I did this video today. You and Tom But basically, I was like, all right, get back on the HOI4 train. I've moved into live streams, and this is my fourth live stream. And I actually really like it, and that's why I keep on doing it, because I like talking to you guys in real time instead of just messaging back and forth, which is fun too, but I like talking to you guys in real time for some reason. Oh, Raven says it's 6:50 in Germany. So you guys are 9 hours ahead of me, I think. Is that what I calculated? Yeah, 2. Yep. You're 9 hours ahead. Oh, yeah, I could have. So Mateo says, why don't I take the political power guys as the first two advisors after free trade? For whatever reason, I went more an economic route of going. I upgraded to War Economy and Walther Funk. Um, but you're right, that could work out. Hunter, how's it going, man? It's good to see you. The MIFO bills, I'm keeping them because it made sense. So Hunter, we went down. This was the build: Rhineland to Army Innovations to Angelos, and we did the Angelos exploit. And I screwed it up, but basically I didn't make enough army to go demand Sudetenland, so we paused, got 4-year plan, and then we went down to Fate of Czechoslovakia, and Stig, I believe, figured out that Army Innovations 2 nets us the SDKF, the Skoda 11. I'm just going to call them Skodas, the half track. So that's what we're doing now. So we can get that half track as soon as possible. We're testing out a mechanized spearhead instead of an armored spearhead. We're going to have both, but I haven't figured out what we're going to do with our divisions. And basically, what I think we're going to accomplish today is we're going to get up to war, and we're going to try to figure out what our division's going to look like. And I probably only have about another half hour in me. Hunter says I invaded Netherlands and annexed the Dutch East Indies with convoys. Also took Sweden. Hunter, are you Dutch, my friend? You're always doing Dutch stuff, I feel like. Aren't you guys, Hunter, aren't you the guy that did the Soviet build and went and took out from like Leningrad? You did a naval invasion of the Netherlands. Is that what you did? Okay, so Tom says pure mech divisions won't push well. You want the mechs mixed in with the tanks. So let's look at our production. We should be fine. Um, this armored car, we could sprinkle that in. But basically, at this point, we have enough tanks. I'm not worried about that. We're going to stick with building this equipment or variants of this equipment as long as we can get away with it. Because we went concentrated industry, we don't want to switch up our production lines too much. So we'll get hurt a lot. I had someone send me the numbers on concentrated. So concentrated versus, that's always a thing in HOI4, right? Concentrated industry versus dispersed, and basically it wasn't actually that big of a difference. After you start up your production line, there was something like 50 days to 100 days that there would be a negative. But then basically after you switch your production line, the negative was over. Because obviously what's happening, excuse me, because obviously what's happening is you reach production efficiency, right? And then there is no negative to having concentrated industry. So you will have negative for about 50 to 100 days. I'd have to look up that data set that someone sent me. But then after that, you're good to go. So if you're staying on a singular production line for 5 years, go concentrated industry for sure. Oh, okay, Hunter. I was wondering if you're the guy that does the Soviet build and then invades Netherlands first and then annexes the Dutch East Indies so for all the rubber and stuff. Tom says, "Yeah, just replace the motorized with a mechanized when you can." Okay, perfect. That's exactly the feedback I needed, Tom. I'll be doing that for sure. So let's keep chugging along here. I play pretty careful. It really bugs me if I miss something, and we're Iron Man mode, so there's no going back. Yeah, we're not doing any Navy, anything, Hunter. Sorry if that disappoints you. And I just want to say, Hunter and Tom, your Patreon tanks in Panzer Corps 2 are still alive and running. I think Tom got beat up the most. I have a video on that you can look up on my YouTube page, and it is an older PC for sure. But it's an iBuy Power NVIDIA GeForce. I believe it's a 1070. I think that was the model, 1070. I'm not certain, but it is older. And I do most of my recording off the GeForce software. YouTube is doing the recording for me right now. On this live stream, it actually has a DVR, so that I can just flow that into my YouTube channel. Okay, so at this point, we're September 1937. We need to move over here. We need to get the Spirit of Autarky next and continue to churn out our military factories. Oh boy. See how badly we're suffering from lack of resources. It's mainly just the Navy. Just ignore the Navy, is my advice to you. Yeah, that's so Hunter says I always buy last gen to save money. This PC here at the time, I think it's like 4 years old, but basically the specs on the GeForce 1070 came out and they weren't the specs that Nvidia said, and there's some controversy. So basically I got the PC at like a $200 or $300 discount because of that controversy, because people were getting the card, running it, and were like, "Hey, this isn't as fast as you said, but it's still fast and it still works. It hasn't broken down or anything." I mean, I'm running the whole YouTube channel off that video card 4 years later, so we're all good. Tobias says, "I can't sleep. The only thing that will fix this is the sound of Operation Barbarossa commencing." That's hilarious, dude. Marquis says, "How to annex the Dutch Indies?" Um, sorry, Raphael. I try to invade them. They usually just flee from the country and then put their capital in one of their colonies. Um, that's a good question. I think you should be able to. So if you attack them first, and basically they're not part of the Allies, so in Hearts of Iron 4, you should be able to attack one of the nations first for free, and the Netherlands shouldn't join the Allies. And when they're joined with the Allies, that's when they're going to flee. But if they're just on their own, you should get a peace treaty, and then you should be able to puppet the Dutch East Indies. And look at this. territory. It's massive. Look at all the resources. So that is like something you can get right off the bat if you border or you have a sea zone that connects to the Netherlands. Take them out first, and you can get the Dutch East Indies. I haven't tested that, but 90% positive it still works. People tell me it still works. So we're just going to distribute our forces here. I really want to get this research done. Let's see what the bonus here is. 394 days. Let's do it. Oh, and you can even get the armored car. What's funny to me is in Panzer Corps 2, this armored car is better. Neither of them have all-terrain movement. This has 8 wheels on it, the Skoda 231, but in Panzer Corps 2 at least, the 222 is better, which is funny. Like in Panzer Corps 1, it's the same thing too. We're going to go for this 400-day beast. Oh, Mateo says make sure to annex Dutch East Indies or else Japan will declare war on you. Oh, that's a good point, dude. Okay, so if I go this now, and we're 2.2 years ahead of time, we'll get in a year, and then we'll just pump a ton of military factories into it. So I think that's fine. Let's make our one-off AT. So great to see you guys. All the Hearts of Iron 4 guys are here. That's awesome. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Let's get up like, I don't know. $16 of these divisions. The other thing that I don't like that they need to fix is you can, like what just happened there is I accidentally clicked on that airport and it didn't click. It didn't click on the map. Okay, so where they're saying low manpower, we might have to address that next, but I think the next thing we address is our military staff because we need to prepare for war. Okay, so excavation. It probably only gave us like 9 steel, so that really only helps us out if we're steamrolling and we had France at the time. We would probably get 30 steel. So that was not worth it at all. Excavation 1, not worth it. This is going to need to be a land doctrine. Another thing, guys, that you guys need to understand is if you want to do superior firepower, delay in these are different. Notice the delay in mobile warfare is plus 15 org, while delay in superior firepower is only 10. And I found that out when I did my doctrine video. I've been doing some like deep dive HOI4 research. It's pretty cool. I think your name is Jiao, but Jiao says, or Yao, I'm not sure how to pronounce your name. Sorry, dude. I'm happy you're using shift click to max build now. Haha. So you must be the guy that commented on the Georgia video. But thank you. I am. I am. Okay, so let's keep chugging along here. Yeah, Superior Hunter says that superior firepower is no longer viable. That is correct. Okay, how are we going to modify? So we could go Prince of Terror. Let's see how much of a pain in the butt Czechoslovakia is being. I think we go Prince of Terror after we do all the military conquesting that we can. And the other thing is, so now do we go, so we're using armor divisions. So we should go Erwin Rommel, but the best guy that you're going to get is Ferdinand Schnorner, which is your infantry guy. I think he used to be 15 attack, 15 defense, but he was nerfed somewhere along the way. So yeah, thanks for giving me that feedback, because stuff like that really helps the shift clicking and stuff. So like I can shift left click this and it'll hover over both. All that stuff really helps. We're going to get von Witzelben in here. Or I'm sorry, von Weiss. And he's going to trail Guderian's forces. And he'll just sit there. Is there anything you guys want me to talk about the Battle of France? I don't know a lot about the Battle of Poland, but I have really done a lot of in-depth dives on the Battle of France. Be nice when we get there. Oh, this is only 211 days. Oh, and we still have another bonus. I'll go for this too. We can upgrade armored cars too. Let's see. The breakthroughs improved. Max speed of 12 instead of 9. The max speed of the Skoda 11 is only 8 though. I think if we have this available, we should go for it. I will not be using the broken exploits to get unlimited special forces Raven. I don't know who did that. Who published that? Was that feedback? Or was it Justin? We're pretty behind on oil. On the other hand, I could get a ton of military factories if I go this way. Let's go Hermann Goering work to extra research slot, because I'm sure we're burning through civilian factories pretty quickly. I always struggle with that part of the build, like right here, what to do. And Align Romania and Align Hungary don't always work out for me. But if you integrate the war economies, you can get ridiculous amounts of military factories. So you get 4 in Germany and 4 in Hungary, and the same in Romania. So that nets the Axis power 16 military factories, but they don't always align. But even if you do one, that's if you get, like, say Hungary aligns more often, you get 8. But if we stay over here and we get German war economy, we're just like, boom, we guaranteed 6. So I'll go for this in this build, but it typically doesn't work for me. We're going to go straight to the extra research slot and then start war, I think, if that's what the timeline is. We'll see. Oh, his feedback. He didn't give credit to anyone else, did he? Or did he come up with it on his own? He's usually really good about giving credit if someone else developed the exploit, but I mean, that guy is super in depth on HOI4, man. He's on another level now. I guess we don't really need the trucks anymore, and I need to change these divisions. And let's see what equipment we have. So we have extra AA and extra artillery. So to do this simpler, I'll just click on the field marshal, double left click on all the infantry, the motorized divisions that we used for Angelos exploit, and then I'll cut them in half and then make the first round AA. And then we'll find the remainder of them, and I'll make the second round arty. And then we should be caught up on all of our motorized. What I do like about this game, though, is apparently I just learned that after the Battle of France, like, France was trying to motorize a lot. So you do get a lot of trucks after the Battle of France, and apparently that is historically accurate. The French had a lot of trucks. I have videos on it, but basically you can see what I did at the beginning of this live stream. But basically you churn out divisions to get enough army to where you can go down the focus tree boom to boom. But they've nerfed it, and they made your army capacity, it used to be 450,000, now it has to be 500,000. So it actually makes sense to go Rhineland, Army Innovations, then Angelos, because they nerfed it. They've done all sorts of things to nerf the Angelos exploit, in my opinion. But that's the main thing that you snowball off of in this game, with my Germany build at least. Okay, how close are we? We're way far away. Okay. What do I need to be building more of? Guns. Should probably have somewhere around there. We need Hungary to join the Axis. And I still need an army to line up against Yugo. They're probably going to declare war against us pretty soon. Blaskowitz needs to be a more obvious color. I don't know if we're going to be able to make all these divisions. Okay, Raphael, we might go and do... We'll get dive bombing. Oh, it's still 294. We're not going to do dive bombing. Holy mackerel. We can get excavation, but I feel like we need to have already done Barbarossa for that to work out for us. Everything's just so expensive. There you go. Get the gun upgrade. Stig says always take the middle option on the Yugo pop-up. Stig, what does the middle option give you? So the Credfield says, why don't you wait till 3839 for more factories from Austria? All I can say is a bird in the hand is better than two in the bush. Look at all these factories that we have. We have them today, and all these factories are netting us more military factories, which net us equipment. And I've said this about 5 times in this live stream. Equipment is the number 2 best thing in the game. The number 1 best thing is your political power. Number 2 is equipment. So that's why I don't train. Every piece of equipment that we conserve is actually worth 2 equipment. So if I'm training and I lose 100 guns a month, that's actually 200 guns, because that's not only 100 guns that I don't have, it's also 100 guns that I don't have to use for the offensive, and my stockpile is less, and you get incredible bonuses if your divisions run out of strength. Incredible debuffs. So, yeah, basically that's my thinking on that. How much more equipment do we get here, Raven, if we wait for the Angelos? I mean, you get more equipment from Austria, but wouldn't that be your equipment anyways? So I guess, well, my question is it useful equipment? Number 1. Number 2, yeah, I guess, are we just getting the same amount of equipment from Austria that we could make ourselves? Because the other problem is you'd have to test this out, because is Austria doing all the research that we're doing? So think about it. Are they going concentrated industry? Are they getting all the bonuses and upgrades that we're getting? So I don't know. That's an interesting idea. You could be right about that. But I just want to see the test. I would have to test that out myself to see if it's better to wait. And I would actually do the raw numbers of how much equipment I get and what type of equipment and stuff like that. So we'd have to see. Oh, Gonzalo, you get 5% consumer good factories? Are we talking about the Yugoslavia decision? Because that's a deal breaker. There's no way I'm going to take plus 5% factories, civilian factories, ever. I'll never choose that in this game. March 1938. We still don't need Prince of Terror. We're leaving the last slot for Prince of Terror. It seems like we might need more manpower, but I think we're okay. I think Rommel is probably, or Halder, because we get army offense, division attack plus 10%. Since it doesn't say what division, I'm assuming every single division gets 10% attack. How can you beat that? Yeah, Tom, that's true. So Tom says you'll probably get more from annexing Austria because they will be on civilian economy. So that's true. So they're building factories at a civilian economy rate, whereas I get their factories and then build factories at a war economy rate. That is absolutely correct. So I think that debunks it. But I'm still not sure, you know? Maybe they're not at civilian economy rate. It seems like they should be. I think they're democratic. I don't know. God, we are way behind on equipment. Just put these at the bottom. Shift left click. Okay, we'll get our extra research slot, and then we can start getting our air doctrines done. Oh man, it's going to be close. So Tom, if you're still there, you got to tell me what you want to do. Are we going to attack in 1940? Because it's going to be really hard to get these mechanized forces out in numbers by 39. Just by the way, I think we rushed this as fast as we could. We could probably get a little faster, but I'm not sure. Okay, so it's the focus tree that you get more. Yeah, the generic focus tree, you do get like, what, 6 more military factories or something? And, okay, that could be it. That's a good test, though. Morning, Mogeko. Let's make these guys into a Yugoslavian border force here. Can give him von Lieb. Let's give him Schultz. A dashing-looking fellow. And typically Croatia splits off something like that. I can't remember. Oh, I see what's going on. How much motorized do we need? So we're down 1K on the motorized, so I'm probably going to turn in all these guys. And the Schnell division lost his XP, so, or maybe he didn't start off with XP, so we'll change him to cavalry brigade as well. And now we're good on motorized. Perfect. So Mateo suggests against rushing annexing Czechoslovakia because you only get 30 or 40% of the factories. I think you're absolutely correct there. Let's see if we go for economy. Shouldn't it tell us here? There are 27 factories. You're able to access 41% of those factories. Yeah, yikes. Does Prince of Terror help us with that? Not really. Not really. That's a good point, Mateo. Okay, so Mogeko asks, what's the plan for the stream? And Mechanized instead of standard trucks are completely neglecting the tanks. I was going to neglect the tanks, but this is Tom's um, build, and he wants the mech in with the tanks, which we can totally do. We have enough stockpile of Panzer IIs, and as soon as we get our mechanized forces, we can start adding them into the tank template. And we're not going to be able to get enough mech in time. So we're going to have to stick with like 3 tank divisions, basically. Which is what I would do anyways, like 3 or 4. I keep it very narrow. Okay, so we got the extra research slot. Just double checking that Molotov-Ribbentrop pack doesn't give us like an extra research bonus to half tracks, but no. So we're gonna in 1939 we're gonna have to go here, and it's 140 days, so that's gonna be about 6 months. So we're gonna have to do Eastern claims in February 39, something like that. So we still have some time here, and we do not have a lot of oil. We can get away with not having a lot of oil if we keep our navy away. Trying to think though, we need Reich's Autobahn for Barbarossa. Oh, we need it for the rubber. Okay, let's go. Because we're no longer going to have access to the Dutch East Indies when we start World War II. Okay. I remember how to play this game. I'm sorry, guys. We can get the guns, but what else do we have? Man, computing machines are that's really looking good to me. Because this buffs everything. It's only 209. Before, and that's the other thing that the devs did. Before, I would not go computing machines because it was too expensive. I think that's what the issue was. And I think that they buffed computing machines because what's the bonus is now 5%. I think it was only like 4 at one point, and then the research is quicker. I'm pretty sure. Could be wrong. We don't need any more trucks. You'll always need more fighters. Yeah, we're still way behind on guns. Mateo says to go for Romania early to get the oil. Yep, there's 75 oil right there. I think we're okay. I just deal with what I have, basically. But after we get this many factories, we're going to need to go synthetic refineries. So I'll just wait to build those because we're going to have another level of concentrated industry fairly soon. And we're going to get Rommel. We've got a pretty decent amount of Army XP. So as soon as we get our research done, we can start building that template. Okay, the Nationalists won the Spanish Civil War. Did Rommel buffs mecha? No. I don't think he buffs mecha. He would have to go through here to buff mechanized. Well, anyone with Trickster is what I learned is that basically Trickster is the best trait to have on a general. Because they can do so much, they have access to different combat tactics that other generals don't. Trickster is good in all situations, and that's how it was in the war, you know? Rommel wasn't necessarily an armor guy, and he was always an infantry guy. He was an infantry guy up until the Battle of France, when right before he took... Hitler gave him his choice of what division he wanted, and he was going to command a mountain division, and instead commanded a panzer division. And then famously, he became an armored guy. And he made some mistakes with how he basically handled the armor division that I'm not going to go into. Oh, the advisor? Yeah, the advisor Rommel buffs armor division attack and defense 15%, which is broken. That's awesome. But should he have this? I'm not entirely sure. I think that his contribution to military warfare history was more about overall army operations. I don't think it was necessarily about how he used the panzers. It was more about how he used firepower. And he took control of individual. He would do this even as a field marshal. He'd take control of individual units that had heavy firepower potential and basically move them around the battlefield as he would move around scouting things out. And he would basically take 88s in North Africa and say, okay, go ahead and direct your fire over here. And that was his way of trying to manipulate how the battle was going. Whether that worked out in the overall situation's favor or not, I have no idea. I don't think there's any way to know that, really, to be honest with you. God, what am I doing? The Yugoslavians don't have tanks. Sorry if I'm getting a little distracted. We're going to end the live stream after we get up to this, the half track, and then we'll start changing our armor template. Yeah, Raven, I don't really like the spy system either. It would be like I already feel stretched trying to do all this stuff. It would be like if now I have to deal with the spies, like it's a little too much. And from what I hear, it's better to just play on the defensive, like get a few spies going and then use them to get compliance in the territories that you take over. And I think that that's what the developers want us to do with spies. I'm going to deprioritize the trucks. We might use trucks as recon or something. I'm not sure. Stig says spies only good for suppressing resistance. Could be. Okay, we finally got the half track. We won't be going for the 251. So let's go ahead and throw this in here. So my main concern with setting up navies and setting up your infantry, or I'm sorry, your army divisions is the speed. So as soon as I threw the mech in here, because the mech is only 8, that reduced the speed. We also have a ton of armored cars. So we have light armored recon. Let's see what the speed is here. I'm not seeing it, but it's not affecting our speed because the division will only move as fast as its slowest part. And maybe this does affect the speed actually. Okay, yeah, because if I go cav, your speed goes down to 6.4. So the question is, so let's give him light armored recon. All we need is the hardness above 50%. We get 0.5 better recon. Our breakthrough goes up by 5. It doesn't affect our organization or overall HP. Fuel usage goes down. What? Fuel capacity goes down, fuel usage goes down. No, fuel capacity goes up, fuel usage goes down. That's interesting. Okay, so this is what we're going to go with so far. Let's expand this. This might be too tall of an order, actually, because we're not going to... It's November 38. We've got about a year to produce stuff. Let's go with this and see what our demand for mechs is. $300. Okay, we should be able to do that. What do we want to take away from here? There's plenty of armored cars. We're going to need that artillery production. We probably don't need all the support equipment. We're going to get a ton of trucks from France. And I don't even know what we're doing with trucks at this point anyway. So let's just go down to 1 on there. And then this is 3 a week. That's not going to be enough. We need a lot more. Okay. One a day. for roughly 300 days. Will give us 300 capacity that we needed. But we have to keep the template as it is. Our hardness is enough so that we can do blitz tactics. And we have a badass division here. The only downside I would say is the speed, but we can deal with that. And yeah, so this is it. This is going to be the culmination of the live stream. The Credfield says, logistics, sir. Tom says you can go 1 part half track, 1 part motorized until you get more mechs. Do you want me to up the division combat width? Or like... So if we do that, let's see what the consequences are. Holy mackerel. Defense goes way up. Recovery rate increases. Organization increases. HP increases. But also supply use increases. We don't want to make like a monstrous thing here. I'll go for 1 motorized. Until we can change that into a mech. I don't want to get the supply use much higher than 1.5, to be honest with you. Because you get in tight spots where you don't want this division to be, like in the winter on a mountain or something like that, for instance. Okay, so we'll go ahead and have them do that. So did that work out for you, Tom? Do you like that division template? See what else we're going to be researching here. So I'm going to hang out for a little bit just to talk with you guys, but I'm basically going to end the gameplay here. Thanks for joining me, guys. Please leave a like and subscribe if you enjoy this type of content, and I'll see you on the next one. Okay, Tom says, yeah, it looks good. Okay, that's all I really needed. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the live stream. Is there anything that you want to see more or less of?